one thing I've realized in a lot of the conversations I've been having is like humans are sort of having an identity crisis. I was interviewing somebody from an AI company. Their whole approach to AI adoption is you give everyone in the organization the tools and you give them the ability to experiment and you see what they can do. And they were talking about having like big name partners even on the tools, like at a law firm. And I just remember sitting there and being like, you're going to need an org psych on your team because you're going to tell someone who has been doing this for 30 years that what they've built their professional identity on no longer matters. Yeah. And they need to be on the tools, building bots. Yeah. Like, good luck. I'm hearing a lot of people being afraid for their jobs. I'm hearing a lot of people being confused about their identity. A lot of people feeling like there is not a safe place for them to express their concerns.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to AI in Focus, the podcast where we dive into real conversations about how AI is being used in the business world, what's working, what's not, and what's next. I'm your host, Garima Singh, co-founder of AI to Easy, where we help businesses make AI practical, accessible, and impactful. Today's guest is someone who brings a deeply human lens to the future of work and AI, Emily Sauter. Emily is a future of work strategist, consultant, and transformation leader with a background at Accenture, where she specialized in employee experience, workplace transformation, and organizational change. Today, through her own business, she is helping organizations rethink the relationship between people, technology, and purpose in an AI-driven world. What I love about Emily's perspective is that she doesn't just talk about AI as a productivity tool. She talks about dignity at work, human creativity, leadership, and how we can design a better future for people alongside technology. In today's conversation, we'll explore the future of work, how AI is reshaping organizations and teams, and why keeping the human element at the center matters more than ever. Emily, I'm so excited to have you here. Let's dive into AI in Focus.
Sounds great. I'm ready.
So, Emily, you worked across workplace transformation, employee experience, and the future of work. Can you share a bit about your journey and what drew you into this space?
Yeah, so when I was a student, I actually studied entrepreneurship. I thought business seemed really cool, and I knew that I wanted to like have creative ideas and build businesses and hire people. But I really I started a couple retail things and they didn't really work. And I thought, well, I need to make money and I'm not, very good at retail. I'm not exactly stylish. And there was a consultant company still recruiting on campus. So I went. And consultants seemed really smart. They seemed really innovative. They lived in Chicago, which is where, I wanted to live. And I thought, well, if I get into consulting, I'll be able to learn what businesses do really well and what they do really badly, and I'll be able to learn from that.
Right.
I got thrown into the tech world very early. So I never studied software engineering, computer sciences, anything like that. I was a business student. And my first project with Accenture was really hard because I didn't know what a user interface was. I had no idea how to code. And I had to learn technology really, really fast. But a very smart leader who happened to be on the project noticed me and said, hey, you're actually quite good with people. What if I, you know the system. What if I put you in front of people and you talk about the tools and you help people to adopt the tools and you lead training?
Oh, wow.
And from that point forward, it just took off. I spent 20 years always doing the human side of tech transformation. And I think the thing that really drove me to continue was it was always different. Tech was always evolving. There was always a new business problem or business outcome that technology was trying to solve. Yeah. And I was constantly learning. So I just stuck with it.
Very nice. So did you get to code or no?
So technically, I have coded a little bit.
Oh, you?
I'm not very good with languages in general, and I find coding to be quite hard. I also, last year, spent a good 2 or 3 weeks vibe coding.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't very good at that either. So I appreciate the craft of coding. Yeah. I myself don't have that skill set.
So Just to add to that, I do not like coding at all.
People love it or dislike it.
I know. I come from a tech background,
Yeah.
but I've been more into business,
Mm.
as you said. I never liked tech. I tried to learn, but I don't know why. Probably it's not for me. I'm
Yeah.
a people person. I'm more into businesses, not coding.
Yeah. I have a lot of empathy for software engineers and for coders because to me, it's a beautiful skill set and it's like the art and the science. The science is like the formulaic way that you code, but you create art through how you do it.
Yes.
And I've worked a lot with software engineers, so I do have a lot of empathy for what they're going through now with AI. But I think that's a skill set where we can find something new, really cool
Yes.
for that skill set.
Yeah, I agree. So you've worked with organizations navigating major transformations, right? Was there a particular moment or experience that made you realize AI was going to fundamentally reshape the way we work?
Yeah. So I was lucky in that in my consulting career, I got to work with a lot of tech companies. So I got to see AI happening before anyone was really talking about it. And there was so much discussion, even 5, 6, 10 years ago about workflows and where do you automate? Where do you make things more efficient? And sort of really strong business process redesign is, I spent at least a decade doing that sort of work. So I thought, this is interesting. I can see how AI is going to really shift the way that we do work. But I saw it not in sort of the grand, big T transformation everyone is seeing it at now. I think that moment for me happened last year in probably May. And I went to a training where we were talking about how operating models and organizations were going to have to change because of AI. And it was the first time it dawned on me that there were going to be pockets of organizations that were going to completely go away. Like humans would no longer be doing that work, AI would be. And there'd be other pockets where AI and humans would work together. But nobody was talking about the work that humans could continue to do.
Yeah.
And I remember raising my hand and basically being like, hey, I'm confused. Like, we're only talking about business cases where we're looking at the bottom line and getting rid of humans. What about the top line? And it was sort of like everyone just sort of stared at me. And I thought, oh no, this is going to be a problem. And I just had this my whole body became really rigid and anxious. And I just thought, oh man, this is going to be a problem. Yeah. And this is something that I feel like I am uniquely positioned to work on and help solve.
Yeah, definitely. I know we've always thought about AI is going to replace human.
Yeah.
Or it's going to be AI plus human, but there is still human only place.
That's right.
Which we have not thought about. Good point raised, that we still need to see that there's still a lot of things that only human can do it and no one can else do it.
Yeah. And I think that one of the things I always say is AI can and probably will evolve to do almost anything.
Almost.
But just because it can doesn't mean that it should.
Yes.
And so much of the work I do is helping leaders understand that they could be very intentional about how they use AI. It doesn't have to be you use AI for everything. And there's a lot of benefits to making choices where you choose not to leverage AI and you choose to, use your human brain. I often talk about, everyone now is talking about the artificial intelligence. Yeah. But we have forgotten that we are actually the most ancient, embodied, automated, type of intelligence.
Yes.
And there's a lot of just incredible magic that comes with that too.
Yeah. And I think every episode I say this, and even when I meet others, I always say this: do not let AI lead you.
Yeah.
It should be you, the human, leading the AI.
Yeah.
Always. I know it can do a lot of things for you, but as human, you should be leading AI, not AI.
Well, and here's my fear, right? So there's a lot of studies now that show when people use AI for everything and consistently, they start to have cognitive atrophy.
Yes.
And, I was at a lunch last week with a bunch of people who are, deep in the rabbit hole of AI. And I asked them, I said, well, where are you using AI the most? And, there's lots of personal productivity and work stories. And I said, since you've been using it for those purposes, have you noticed anything different about your brain? Like, have you noticed that you can't think as creatively anymore? Have you found it hard to focus? Have you found your critical thinking capabilities? And everyone paused because no one's thinking about that right now. Everyone was like, oh my God, what do you mean? And it's like the more we become dependent on it to do everyday things that usually work our brain, the less likely we are to be in the lead of it.
I agree.
That's the really scary thing.
This is about some future work. A lot of the AI conversations today is focused on productivity and automation.
That's right.
You often speak about the human side of transformation, which you just said. Why is that so important right now?
I'm afraid if we don't start talking more about work humans should do and the work that humans are uniquely positioned to do, we're going to end up in a state that might be really hard to reverse out of. And I guess like a very, easy example of that would be about 3 or 4 years ago, there were lots of companies, especially telecommunication companies, that were making a decision to get rid of their customer care people and basically automate and bot the whole customer care experience. That is a great use case for doing it. It is very data-led, very repeatable, based off scripts, right. Easy to learn, easy to problem solve. But NPS scores started dropping. And I think there was even a pretty well-known bank here in Australia who ended up hiring some of those customer care professionals back because they said there's something in this work that we've missed, something magical, something that only humans do. And I've spent a lot of time, especially in the last 6 weeks, looking at what are those variables that indicate something is fit for humans and something is fit for artificial intelligence. And if there's relationships involved, if there's empathy involved, there's an opportunity for creativity and transformation and innovation, humans should still be part of it. And I hate the expression human in the loop because I don't think that's enough. Mm-hmm. It's like certain work should be human-led and other work can be artificially, intelligently enabled. But I don't know if AI should ever lead or be completely in charge.
Of course. I completely agree. As I said even before, that we should be leading the AI. Let it not lead us. And I know the world is going in that direction.
Yeah.
And this is what we need to educate everyone that do not do that.
One of the things I do with leaders when we start talking about artificial intelligence and where they should implement and how far they should take it is I ask leaders just to think about the legacy that they want to leave behind. And I do that because it's a great way of just for a moment pausing and being in your humanity. And for humans to make those decisions is to really feel into their humanity before they make those decisions, right. Whether that's what's the legacy you want to leave behind, what's important for you and your children, what are the ethical implications of these decisions, the climate, implications. There's so much that you have to think about.
Yep, I agree. That's so good. Thank you. We'll go into, because you talk to a lot of organizations inside what is happening. So many organizations are rushing to adopt AI tools, but not all of them are prepared culturally. What are you seeing companies get right and wrong when it comes to AI adoption?
So one of the first things I've seen lately that I think is like spot on the right way to approach it is organizations coming to me and saying, hey, we want to develop AI fluency. How should we do that? And they're like, do we go and buy, licenses to Pluralsight and do all this AI training? Do we, start investing in co-pilot training? Do we hire an AI coach to come in? And it's like, no. Like, don't invest in the training on the tools because the tools are evolving too fast.
Yes.
The organizations I see that are getting it right are investing in behaviors. So it's stuff like, how do I be informed about AI? How do I be curious about how AI is evolving? How do I be safe when I'm using AI? So investing in the behaviors will actually give you more ROI than investing in training on the tools right now. So it's one thing I'm seeing organizations get right. The second thing is I am actually seeing organizations be cautious.
Yeah.
And as an example, there's a law firm that I'm working with right now, and I was quite surprised in the beginning at how cautious they actually were. And what I realized after working with them and understanding, the legislative and ethical nuances of their business is, even though there's some, low-hanging fruit around, using it for personal productivity and using it to query documents and using it to, create these huge, massive documents that are used for legal purposes, there's a bit of, they actually want to keep their craft. Like, they've spent years in school. They've been honing in on their craft. Like, when they are in a courtroom, they are just, thriving, and they have reverence for that, which I love.
Yeah.
So I think those are probably the two things I'm seeing. One is the investment in behaviors, not just the tools, and actually taking a bit of caution and making sure that they're doing things the right way.
Yeah. And I think more than tools, and as you said, and even we educate people with that, it's evolving.
Yeah.
Every single day, it's changing. So it's not about, learning a new tool. It's about how you're going to use it to enhance your productivity of your business.
That's right.
This is what we teach everyone. Don't worry about what's happening, co-pilot or co-worker. It's just...
Yeah. So a couple weeks ago, maybe it's been months now, I had a client who came to me and said, hey, my boss is asking me why Australia is so behind and why China is so ahead. Do you have any recommendations? And I said, interesting question. Let me do some research and I'll come back to you with some data points. And one of the things that I thought was so amazing is China's entire approach to AI has been less about deep models and data analytics and getting the tools right. It's been about usefulness.
Yes.
So they prioritized implementing AI into use cases where they would be the most useful. And I think on one hand, they have an advantage because for the most part, they have a large population of people, a lot of data available. That population, sort of goes with the flow. And so they don't have some of the same adoption challenges that we might have. But I mean, when you implement AI in a way that's really useful and easy, adoption happens. You don't have to invest in all the typical change management stuff. So yeah, the usefulness part is really important if you want to get AI right.
Yeah, yes, that's right. And I think this is what even we tell everyone that when they ask. So I actually speak to a lot of women in business who are aspiring business owners, or they just want to be into business. And we just have one-on-ones with them. They just come to us asking, what are the tools we can use?
Yeah.
And this is what we tell them. It's not about tools. It's about you embrace it, adopt it, and see how it is affecting your business, because not every business will be using the same tools.
Yeah.
And the same way AI is working. And this is what we ask them to do, for them to start their journey in AI, and then they can, adopt it, or they can make changes using AI, but at least they need to understand that it's not the tools.
Yeah, it really depends on what you want to do.
Yes.
And I'm a business owner, and I try to pick use cases. So the first one I picked was creating my website. As I mentioned before, I tried the vibe coding thing, didn't work very well, but there were a lot of ways I used AI to help me look at, well, what do my competitor websites look like? What language do they use? Yes. What's their value prop? How can I differentiate myself? Another one is I've been using it, I've been experimenting with a use case around content, because often there's a lot of content I develop for my clients to help them with a strategy or a plan, or even just, how they think about AI and how they approach it. And I've been experimenting with different tools to figure out which one really gets the content right and is able to, learn about me and learn about the client and do some external research and bring that together in the most meaningful way. So yeah, as a business owner, if you know where you're struggling and you have someone you can trust, it's a great opportunity.
Yes.
Yeah, for AI.
For AI. I agree. Yeah. Let's talk about the uncomfortable side of AI.
Okay.
Which industries do you believe are most at risk of major workforce disruption because of AI? And do you think some businesses still aren't taking it seriously enough?
So industries most disrupted, tech right off the bat. Tech is going through it. And a lot of the big headlines you see in the layoffs are tech. And I find that so interesting because it's literally the people that invented this technology, that developed this technology, are now the ones where, their livelihood is totally changing because of this technology. But so many of them are leaving and starting their own gigs now and, building their own AI. So in a sense, it's I see the tech companies sort of decentralizing, and it's becoming much more entrepreneurial. We talk about, what is it, the SaaS apocalypse? Like, are big SaaS companies even the thing anymore? I don't know. They do have a lot of advantages. So tech has been majorly disrupted. I do think my industry is the next. So professional services, without a doubt. The amount of work that I used to do and how long it would take me versus how long it takes me to do it now, and getting it right almost right away is incredible. Now, it doesn't take away from my experience, from my gut feeling that I need to inquire more, or this client actually probably doesn't want solution A, solution B would be better. The relationship building, the stakeholder engagement, and even some of the nuances around like, culture and org psych and behaviors, like there still is a human side of it. Yeah. But I think professional services is going to get pretty wildly disrupted next. And it's already, happening in a lot of sense.
But I think, as you said, it's the experience that is going to keep you into the business. It's the emotional quotient that is going to keep you into the business. The strategy that you have done, maybe you might find, you are saying it is disruptive, maybe, but if you adopt it, which you are, if you embrace it, which you are, and similarly, if people in your area will do that, probably they will stay in the industry because you will be able to help or take up more clients to do the same service.
Yeah. And if I think about like even me myself, like I left, a very large, successful consulting firm to do something on my own. Yeah. I wouldn't have been able to do that 10 years ago. And there's pros and cons to that. And I do see a lot of people leaving these big businesses and starting their own. And I love that. I love the sort of entrepreneurial communities that's building. Yeah. It's really fun for me, but I think it's advantageous for, humans in general. But I did go to this awesome debate during Sundance, and it was the idea of, are jobs obsolete? Like, is everyone just going to become an entrepreneur now? And after watching this debate, I realized, like, as an economy, we actually really need jobs and stability. Yes. Not everyone can be a risk taker. Yes. Not everyone can be an entrepreneur. And so I feel like maybe you're seeing people that are okay taking big risks leaving now. But I wonder what's going to happen in a couple of months or in a year where more and more jobs are disrupted. People aren't necessarily right fit to go off and start their own thing. Like, what's going to happen then? Yeah. Fractional work, more flexible work models. Yeah. Like, I think the way we think about work is really going to change.
It is going to change. And we have no idea how it's going to change. That's
Yeah, in some cases, it's really hard to anticipate that. Yes, and correct. One of the things I always say to leaders is, look, today's leaders are focusing on productivity and efficiency and implementing AI everywhere that they can. But tomorrow's leaders are thinking about the top line. Right. And they're the visionaries that are saying, well, where do I take my business next? As these brilliant, wonderful individuals have capacity, what do I do with it? What new clients do I want to seek? What projects do I want to start? Where do I want to innovate? So my hope is that humans will shift from doing very process-driven, step-by-step, task-oriented, productive work and start dreaming again and actually create really incredible businesses and work structures we've never thought of.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I hope.
I hope so. Fingers crossed. Thank you. On top of that question, because as you said, many employees are already exhausted from constant change and transformation. As we talk about new tools and new things are coming up. Do you think organizations are moving too fast with AI adoption without considering the emotional impact of people?
Yes. So I think in general, even before AI, companies have forced humans into being too robotic. There's no psychological safety in the workplace anymore. We've seen, globally employee engagement drop. That also has an effect on productivity. We've seen, mental health challenges increase. Gartner actually asks a question in a lot of their surveys that I love. That's like, do you have a best friend at work? I often just, when I meet people, I ask that question and people stare at me like I'm crazy. Like, we've gone away from these beautiful communities where we had structures and ways to collaborate and, get beautiful work done. And we've become quite robotic. Yeah. Now, the companies that I've seen that are the most nimble, the most adaptive, and that are actually succeeding with AI, like are becoming AI native, are ones that still promote employee engagement.
Good.
Make sure that psychological safety is a topic in the workplace. Invest in intentional togetherness and relationship building. Like, it's ironic. The thing that we have like sort of taken for granted is actually the thing now that creates an opportunity for you to get ahead with AI. A culture that prioritizes humans is a culture where people feel safe and they're willing to take risks and try new things with AI. So it's a bit of an irony.
So you are saying the organizations that are adopting AI and are successfully adopting AI are the ones who are more employee-centered?
Yes.
Culturally, psychologically, they are safe.
Yes.
And culturally building the environment where it's AI plus employees, right? This is what you're trying to say.
Yeah. I think, if any company comes to me and asks for advice, I think it's really important that employees learn how to use the tools.
Yeah.
And I think it's really, really important that they have agency in how they use the tools.
Yep.
And I think it's important that companies are transparent about their intentions with the tools. And what I've seen is if you give employees safety and trust, if you give them agency in how they're going to use it, and you're transparent about your goals, adoption happens.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I've worked in a company, you worked in organizations, and we know as employees how important these things are.
Yeah.
With leadership and conversation that you often do with, you're also a speaker, a podcast host, and a panel moderator.
Yeah.
Through all the conversations you've had, what themes or concerns about AI and the future of work keep coming up again and again?
Well, my whole shtick or my whole passion is the human side of AI. So I think I naturally, because that's the thing I care about and I talk about, I draw that side out of people, which not a lot of people are talking about that side of it. I do notice a lot of times there's this moment of relief. Like I think as humans right now, we are just getting blasted with, marketing around AI, AI slop. You can't even like turn a corner without seeing something about AI anymore. And that moment where you just allow people to you take that off the table and you just allow people to be human and say, hey, the human intelligence system is valuable.
Oh, definitely.
There is value to you in your role. You sort of see people exhale and they go, okay. Like I think one thing I've realized in a lot of the conversations I've been having is humans are sort of having an identity crisis. I was interviewing somebody from an AI company, and their whole approach to AI adoption is you give everyone in the organization the tools and you give them the ability to experiment and you see what they can do. And there's a little bit, the experiments are sort of facilitated. And they were talking about having very big name partners even on the tools, like at a law firm. And I just remember sitting there and being like, you're going to need an org psych on your team or even a psychologist on your team, because you're going to tell someone, a woman, a man who has been doing this for 30 years that they're like what they've built their professional identity on no longer matters. Yeah. And they need to be on the tools building bots.
Yeah.
Good luck. That is a huge psychological issue. So I'm hearing a lot of that. I'm hearing a lot of people being afraid for their jobs. I'm hearing a lot of people being confused about their identity. A lot of people feeling like there is not a safe place for them to express their concerns.
But I think all of that is happening because there's no education around AI. And this is when the fear happens, when you do not know. Even just a few minutes ago, we both were talking about what future lies. We don't know. And this is why there's fear, because we do not know what is going to happen. It is happening so quickly. And this is the reason everyone is fearing about everything, not just jobs, even their businesses, even studies. You see how the topics or the what kids are taking these days in their uni, they are evolving. They are doing, whether they're doing engineering or engineering with AI, there's digital marketing with AI. There's a lot of things changing. So people, and again, we do not know if those skill set will also get redundant or not.
Yeah.
And this is the fear, because there's no education.
So what should humans do in a state where the future is ambiguous and they feel afraid?
I think we should go with the flow. adopt it, embrace it, and just feel safe with your surroundings and go with it.
Yeah. Focus on being open-minded.
That's it.
Growth mindset.
Yes.
Focus on being creative.
Yes.
Focus on being connected with other people and brainstorming and sharing.
What
and
can I do?
Yeah, because I mean, even like for me, it's like, well, I don't have children. I have a lot of friends with children and they ask me advice, like, what should my kids do?
Yeah.
And I'm like, look, you got to make sure that our brains still work.
That's it.
So do not give up on, literature and art and history. Like do things that really, affect your cognitive muscles so that they're developed, and experiment and be open and, play around with the tools and try to have a bit of optimism and joy when you're doing that. I was really happy to see, I think in this last week, a couple articles have come out about companies and firms saying, no, like we are going to hire kids coming out of school. We don't care that the majority of the work they typically did can now be automated. They know AI. They're, creative. They're fresh. They don't know what all of these hierarchy-driven dinosaur-like corporate structures are. They're in the best position to help us shape the future. And I loved that. I think that, that's definitely like a good start.
That is the mindset we need.
Yeah.
That is exactly what mindset all of us, whether old, young, or upcoming generation, everyone just need that mindset. And then you will still be in the game. Being a AI consultancy, even we don't know what's going to happen to our future. But then just be in the game, just keep embracing it and keep moving forward and help others with AI.
Spot the opportunities, be open-minded, learn some new skills, be willing to adapt. And I also think like back yourself.
Yes, always.
Like
that's probably with everything.
Yeah.
That's probably with everything.
Yeah.
Good. Let's talk about how do you think leadership itself needs to evolve in an AI-powered world?
Leadership today, rightfully so, is very metric driven. It's very, I look at my KPIs, I look at my dashboards, I look at the market, I make decisions, I hope I make them in the right direction. It's so much about data and decision making. And my hunch, although this is a little bit provocative, is that the more AI takes on work, that's not going to be a differentiator anymore.
No.
Like, right now I might have a company and I might be heavily investing in AI, and that's giving me an advantage because my stock price is higher and I'm, have a higher, organizational value. But once everyone's done that, then what? So I think, and a lot of leaders are coming to me and asking for this as well. It's like, how do I be innovative? How do I be creative? How do I start to be more of a business strategist? Like, where do I take this business next? And I think in the last 10 or 20 years, you'd pay a consulting company and you would do like a 3-year roadmap or a 5-year roadmap. Well, it's hard to anticipate what's going to happen in 5 years. 3 years, maybe, but it's more like, what are the bets that we're going to make for this next year? And what are the check-ins that we're going to do? So I think leaders, like the way that they think about strategy and business and their workforce really is going to have to evolve. And they're going to have to be much more nimble.
Yeah.
And as data insights become super easy and super reliable, then it's going to be about the human side of it, which I think will be really interesting.
Yes, I'm looking forward to see how the leadership is going to evolve with that, because they are the ones who are more stuck in the paperwork, which we see a lot. As you said, it's the dashboard, it's their report, it's about, presenting to the board, all of that. And I've seen people making 70 pages report to present it to the board.
Yeah.
Which is done manually.
Yeah. And I've been the person that's creating, in my past, those board presentations. So like, I know the amount of work that goes into that is ridiculous.
So, yes.
But like, okay, so in a world where AI is no longer the differentiator and it's completely intertwined into our businesses, what becomes the differentiator? Our humans? Our talent?
Yes.
I was going to say something about leaders being healers.
Wow, I love that. Leaders being healers.
So one of the more provocative views I've seen about the future of leadership is this idea that as leaders, we're going to become healers.
Very nice.
And what I mean by that is, as our businesses become super automated, super data-led, and AI is basically intertwined in all aspects of our business, then what? What do humans do? And the leaders that really can tap into humanity, whether you call that healing or motivating or whatever it is, that the leaders that, create movements, the leaders that create inspiration, the leaders that create a vision that everyone wants to follow.
Yes.
I think those are going to be the ones that end up taking us into the future.
Nice.
And, a lot of that is psychology. A lot of that is really special magic about humans that we can't really articulate. And this book I read, Leader as Healers, is all about that. It's about once, we take productivity aside, the real role we're going to have is.
Very nice. I think you've answered my next question, Srinas. How you want to see the leaders in the 3 to 5 years. I think this is what the answer really matches.
Yeah,
Leaders are healers.
And I'm a hippie and I'm very spiritual. I wouldn't be doing this work if I wasn't. And I've always chosen to work in environments where those sort of points of view are, not always accepted or appreciated. But the reality is there is something deeply special about being humans. And AI gives us an incredible opportunity to finally realize what that is.
Yes. Finally, when you hear the phrase AI in focus, what does it mean to you personally and professionally?
Well, actually, AI in focus means a lot to me. Like I've given up a lot and I've jumped down the AI rabbit hole. I'm very focused on it. I love the people I've met in the AI world, even the ones that have a very opposite view from myself.
You need those people as well.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
You definitely do.
Yeah.
And I'm constantly learning. And again, I just think if we focus on the usefulness of AI, if we focus on AI, not just as the bottom line, but as, for the top line as well. And if we focus on how AI can actually free up opportunities for humans, AI is going to be pretty incredible. The world that we live in 20 years is going to look completely different from the world we lived in 20 years past.
Imagine. No, yeah.
So I think being focused on AI and talking about AI and learning about AI is a really important thing.
Thank you. So thank you, Emily. If you could let viewers know what do you do and where can they, catch you or connect with you, that would be helpful.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Emily Sauter, founder of A New Way Forward. We help leaders find a different way with AI, a way that puts humans first. That's everything from leadership engagement to AI strategy and planning to AI adoption. But more importantly, I just believe the world can be a better place for humans. And I think AI is one way that we can do that. You can find me on LinkedIn. I love to post articles and learnings and share what I'm finding. And you can find me on my website, which is just anewwayforward.com.au.
Thank you. Thanks, Emily. I think before I close today's podcast, I think one thing that stood with me was, and as you are more with leaders, it's Leaders Are Healers. And that's the book.
Yes, that's a book. It's won a lot of awards, actually. Not well known, but very good book.
Yeah, so Leaders Are Healers. Is something that stood out with me. And there's a book which you can read about it. So and that brings us to the end of today's episode of AI in Focus. Emily, thank you so much for such an insightful and thoughtful conversation. I really loved your perspective on keeping humans at the center of transformation and rethinking the future of work in a world that's rapidly evolving with AI. One of my biggest takeaways, as I said, from today is Leaders Are Healers, as per the book. And AI isn't just about productivity or automation. It's about how we design better workplaces, stronger leadership, and more meaningful human experiences alongside technology. If you would like to learn more about Emily's work, make sure to connect with her and follow her insights around the future of work, leadership, and human-centered AI. As always, you can listen to this episode on AI in Focus on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And if you're using AI in your own business or organization and would like to share your story, reach out. I would love to have you on the show. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next episode of AI in Focus.